Today's YouTube video, I'm giving you guys my top 5 meta loadouts you guys need to be using. These are what I drop my 30 and 40 kill gameplays with, so I know you guys are going to drop some bangers yourself. Enjoy the video, try to give it a like for the algorithm, subscribe with notifications turned on, shout out to Nadia gang on screen, and let's hop into this. The first gun we are taking a look at here today is going to be the Kxpture 762, and our first attachment on this thing is going to be the ZLR Talon 5. So this is going to give us that increase in sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness. By the way, this is like pretty much my favorite AR to run right now here in Warzone, so highly recommend you guys actually try this one out here. But this is our first attachment. The tune on that is going to be a plus 1.31 and a plus 0.45 there on the bottom. Now we're going to go up here and run the CAS-10 584mm barrel, that increase in damage range, bullet velocity, hipfire accuracy, and recoil control. So making this thing definitely more effective at longer distances. A lot of us prior run the KG30 barrel, but we definitely switched over and started running the CAS-10, and it's actually a really solid barrel. I highly recommend this one. The tune on that is going to be a plus 0.37 and a minus 0.23 there on the bottom. Now we're going to go down here and run the tried and true Tctekk Gripper 56. You guys kind of know the drill with this one if you've ran it before. I mean, aiming idle stability, hipfire accuracy, and recoil stabilization. Just got to stabilize the gun out. This is kind of like the commando foregrip here of this game. I mean, it just works so well on a variety of different assault rifles, LMGs for that matter as well. Just works out beautifully on everything. The tune on this is going to be a plus 0.65 and a minus 0.35 there on the bottom. And for our second to last attachment, we're going to go down here and run the 40 round mag. So this, in my personal opinion, is basically the Kxpture 762's only sort of drawback when you're actually building this gun out, is that it only has a 40 round mag. Kind of reminds me of like the CR56 AMAX, a very hard hitting gun that didn't have a 60 round magazine. The CR56 had a 45, but in this game, the 762 only has a 40. But now moving on to our last attachment, the AIM Op V4. So this is one of those attachments you guys can kind of interchange a little bit here with a couple of different things. And so we'll move on over and check it out. So first thing is going to be the Corona Mini Pro, or pretty much any red dot. If you're playing on Vondel and really don't want to have an aim op, you can definitely go for a red dot sight. I've used that. I dropped like a 40 something kill gameplay with a red dot on this thing. It's absolutely nuts like that too. And then moving on over, you guys can also run the SC Recharge if you want to go down that route and have pretty much a little bit of a different looking aim op style optic, and it's going to do largely the same thing. You can tune it the exact same way, but I mean, it's just kind of up to you guys and your personal preference on that. The tune of this is going to be for that aim down sight speed, so minus 2.52. And on the bottom, this is where I always say it's personal preference, whether you want the optic to be close or you want it to be far away. On an assault rifle, it's not going to matter too much, so minus is maxed out for the far distance. I feel like it's perfectly fine when I'm running this gun. So that is how I have that built, and that's my first build for this top 5. Next up, we're taking a look here at the MP5, aka the Lockman sub. So this is definitely pretty much like the #1 SMG guys can run here. There's a lot of really good ones, but in terms of consistency at that 8 to 10 meter range or sub 10 meters in super close quarters, this gun is going to be the gun. So first attachment on here is going to be the L38 Falcon 226mm barrel, increasing our movement speed and aim down sight speed. I mean, we're just trying to be super agile, super mobile. It is an SMG, so the more mobile you can be, you know, at close range, obviously the better. The tune on that is going to be minus 0.21 and a plus 0.25. Now we're going to go up in here and run the 1MW quickfire laser. So got to be able to ADS. The hipfire on this thing is pretty decent, but our true sort of like power in this thing definitely comes when you're aim down sights. I mean, you can definitely, hipfire people on the stairs, stuff like that, but I would highly recommend you guys ADS a large majority of the time, so the 1MW quickfire is really going to help us out. The tune on that is going to be minus 0.16 and minus 21.39. Gonna go down here and run the 9mm hollow point rounds after that. This is going to disable their sprinting, so when people are trying to be annoying and run away from you when you're actually firing at them, which is, well, annoying for you, not for them. I mean, they're just trying to live, but I mean, when you're trying to fire at them and take them down, the 9mm hollow point rounds will definitely help you out. And also, it's going to be a plus 0.59 for that tune and a plus 3.19 there on the bottom. We're also going to go run the 40 round magazine. So this is one thing where you guys could probably switch this out for the 50 round drum if you really want to. You're going to have a little bit less mobility, but I mean, you do gain 10 rounds in the magazine, which is definitely not a bad thing. I've ran the 50, I've ran the 40 plenty of times, probably the 40 more than the 50, but I mean, it's kind of like one of those things, go back and forth, see what feels right to you. But either way, you're not really going to be done too wrong. Obviously, don't go for that 15. That is just ridiculous. Don't ever go for that. But our last attachment is going to be the Mir Recoil-56 factory stock for aiming idle stability, or aiming stability, my bad, recoil control, and sprint speed. So this is something that I personally wasn't like a huge sort of like fan or like a proponent of, but then I started adding it to my builds and I was like, okay, this makes sense. This rounds this thing out really, really nicely. and my gun feels incredibly effective. And the tune on that is going to be minus 1.42 and minus 1.63 there on the bottom. So that's my full build there for the Lockman sub. Hope you enjoy that one. Next up, we're taking a look here at the M4. So the M4 is a banger AR to use, and I'm surprised I don't see more people actually using this thing, probably because it's got a little bit of recoil, but we're going to smooth all that out here with this top tier meta loadout. So first attachments can be the Komodo Heavy for that horizontal recoil control. We just got to be able to stabilize it out, keep it from bouncing around too much, as when you're bouncing around from left to right, that makes it like very difficult to be able to control. Vertical recoil is usually a lot easier because you can just pull down on the stick, but side to side it's a lot more difficult to be able to control, so we're going to stabilize that out. The tune of that is going to be a plus 0.75 and a plus 0.29. Now we're going to go and run the high tower 20 barrel. This is just the barrel that if you're making an M4 build, you have to run the high tower 20. I mean, this is just the barrel. So recoil control, damage range, bullet velocity, and hip fire accuracy. The tune of that is going to be a plus 0.19 and a plus 0.22. Now we're going to go down and run the Tctekk gripper 56 for aiming idle stability, hip fire accuracy, and recoil stabilization. So you guys know we ran this on the 7.62. It's going to do the same thing here. But like I said, it just works universally on so many different builds. The tune on that is going to be a plus 0.28 and a minus 0.28. Now to go down and run the 60 round mag. I am a 60 round mag kind of guy, so I do like that 60, but even if I wasn't a 60 round mag kind of guy, I would still go for that just because, I mean, you really need these extra rounds here in Warzone 2. I mean, I just firmly believe you really can't get away with running a 45. I've done that maybe for like solos. I was trying to play some solos, but 60 rounds is, even in solos, is probably just the way to go. So solos, duos, trios, quads, doesn't matter what it is, run a 60. And last but not least, the Aim Op V4. So like I said, for the previous Kxpture 762, if you want to swap it out for Corona Mini Pro, the SE Recharge, or just want to run exactly what I'm giving you guys here with the Aim Op V4, it's totally up to you. The tune on that is going to be a minus 1.65, and then maxed out there on the bottom for that far distance. That's my full build for the M4. My gun looks kind of glitched out, but hey, it's COD. It's always glitchy. For our next gun here today, we're going to be taking a look at the Vaznev 9K. So an SMG that I don't think gets enough love, but is still just a crazy good SMG. I've dropped so many 30s and 40s with using this thing. I mean, listen, y'all gotta want to see this build here. So first is going to be that CAS 254 millimeter barrel. I'm not exactly sure where they have all these random numbers in here, but damage range increase, hip fire accuracy increase, and bullet velocity increase are all incredible things here. The cons we can kind of deal with just because this barrel makes this gun so much more effective. But the tune of that is going to be minus 0.32 and a minus 0.22. Now we're going to go run the FSS OLE laser. So this is going to increase our aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and sprint to fire speed. So pretty much the equivalent of the 1MW is going to be the Schlager PEQ box. So we're not actually running that because I do believe this thing benefits a lot more so, but keep in mind, you're not going to be able to corner camp with this thing because your laser is going to be showing. So don't corner camp. You shouldn't be doing that anyways, but even more so with this build, don't be corner camping. The tune on that is going to be minus 0.18 to minus 18.10. Now we got to go run a magazine, aka the only option in here, which is the 45 round mag. I mean, listen, we're not going to run 30 rounds, on this thing. That's just pitiful. We hate when we pick that up on, the ground. It's like, how am I supposed to deal with 4 people with 30 rounds? That's just not going to happen. Even 2 people is kind of a bit of a tall tale or tall task, my bad. So definitely go for that 45. Now we're going to go back here and run the Tctekk grip just to kind of speed ourselves up here a little bit. Sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. The tune on that is going to be a minus 0.39 and a minus 0.15. And lastly, we have the beautiful trees at stock. Aim walking speed and sprint speed. I've tried a few of these out in here, like the Marquise, the broadside, the stock list. The stock list specifically, you're gonna have to deal with some recoil. If you go for that, I mean, you're gonna get, premier mobility, but you're gonna have to deal with a ton of recoil, which is not really good. So the trees, that's kind of like your nice little happy medium. Get the mobility, your recoil is incredibly manageable. This thing's kind of more like a laser beam, to be honest with you. So definitely recommend that. And the tune is minus 0.13 and minus 1.39. So that's my full Vaznev 9K build. Last but definitely not least here in this top 5 is going to be a new addition to the meta, aka the FR Advancer. So this gun was pretty much used as an FFAR from Warzone 1, where no one used it as an actual AR, but now you can. They buffed it enough to the point where it's actually usable as a primary AR. So we got a banger build for it. So first thing, the X10 ported 290. So this can help us out with that vertical recoil control. This gun has a massive tendency to go up, just to kick up. So we have to stabilize that out. The tune on that is going to be a plus 0.54 and a plus 0.19. Now we're going to go and run the 435 millimeter FR435 barrel. Don't know why they have the 435 in there twice, but this is what we are going to be running. I almost thought it was a little bit counterintuitive to run this as opposed to the 600mm barrel, but through looking around, kind of doing some research and some self-testing, I found that this is actually significantly a better barrel to be able to run on this gun. It feels actually a lot better to be able to run this as opposed to the 600mm. You guys can definitely try that out if you want to, but this is what I found to be the best. The tune of that is going to be a plus 0.26 and a plus 0.13. Now to go down and, hey, what do you know? Once again, the Tctekk Ripper 56. I'm not even going to explain this one. The tune is going to be plus 0.80 and a minus 0.18. And we're gonna go down and run the 60-round mag here once again. This is also one of those guns that you're not gonna get away with running a 45 or a lesser count magazine clip. You're just not gonna be able to do that. 45 is not gonna work. 60 is definitely the way to go. This is a super high fire rate gun here, just kind of in Warzone. So I mean, you're just gonna blow through ammo as is. So don't kind of limit yourself for a tad bit more mobility to have 45 as opposed to just run the 60 and being a little bit slower. Definitely go for the 60. You're running around with your SMG for mobility, not your primary AR. And lastly, we have once again the AIM-OP V4, and you know, as it's kind of a blanket statement that applies, you can run the Corona Mini Pro, a red dot of some sort, the AIM-OP, the SC Recharge. It is up to you guys, because I play Vondel Resurgence or very rarely, you know, a Sheikah Island, and all those optics are going to work out great. You don't really need a 3-4 times optic. This is not that game. Warzone 1, everyone ran like a 3 times, but you don't need that in this. So you just run the AIM-OP or red dot or something else like that. The tune on that is going to be a minus 1.26, and of course, max out for that far distance. That's my full build. That's been my top 5. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe, those notifications turned on, and of course, check out these other videos on screen, and I shall see you guys all next time.